Ahoy! New World just got an update, and this one comes with some very important changes that we have been asking for since New World Aeternum released, so this is absolutely one that we've been waiting for with a lot of very important fixes. Before we get into that, if you're interested in Path of Exile 2, that also had an update today. I've covered that on my Path of Exile channel, so if you want to know about that game, then consider checking that out. I will link that here and at the end of the video. But now let's talk New World. We obviously see the return of the Winter Convergence event as announced. I've already talked about that in a separate video. There are no new direct rewards, but apparently there seems to be a reindeer mount possibly. That's probably a store item though. Hive of the Gorgons gets multiple fixes to Contagious Upheaval. On one hand, this is for the Nagas in the Hive of the Gorgons maze, and also for fungal infection being spread. So I'm guessing we're going to see the upheaval per Contagious Upheaval being re-enabled again. Along with that, there was an issue with a Typhoon not transitioning from phase 1 to phase 2, which actually looked pretty funny because it gets stuck in the wall. I had that one happening once. And they fixed Echidna being pushed by wind chill. They fixed an issue in which occasionally the effects from a prayer ability would appear the next time the ability was performed. I think this was possibly also the case for Runes of Helios, which would spawn under you multiple times. It was very hard to see through that, so hopefully that one's fixed too. For Fire Staff, there's fixed an issue that allowed looping abilities to loop indefinitely. I'm assuming this is referring to the Infinite Flame Dash exploit. For the Hatchet, fix an issue that could lead to a faster than intended attack speed. This is probably the right-click cancel if you have the Hatchet throw after 2 attacks, which was not a massive increase, but still, I guess, some degree of exploit. For Hard Runes, there was an issue where Hard Runes could allow abilities to reset their startup. That's also fixed. And also another one for Hard Runes fixed an issue that allowed for faster attacks than intended. The Blunderbuss finally gets its very important fix, an issue that allowed the Blunderbuss basic attack to fire faster than intended. This is an understatement. You could basically triple fire in a very, very short amount of time. One of the most devastating exploits that they fixed this patch. This has been around since New World Aeternum launched, so it looks like they are now getting around to everything that was reported after launch. They also fixed an issue where the Elemental Band artifact could trigger off damage over time. What this means for attunement is unclear. I think it's not intended to proc from attunement, but it's not mentioned here. It's technically not damage over time. So it'll definitely still proc from normal elemental damage. It will still proc from gems, and then possibly still from attunement or shirking, but that's not mentioned here. And sometimes corruption mines will not deal damage. That's fixed too. They fixed an issue that caused the Gleamite Meteor to not provide enough Gleamite chunks and shards. Not sure if that's always the case. It's always more now, if this was just an occasional bug. They fixed some quests in Reekwater that were meant to be repeatable daily, but apparently you could reset them more often from what it sounds like. They fixed some crashes and a framed up issue related to DirectX 12. Mounts now consume stamina when jumping while dashing. This was becoming kind of a tech where you would consistently dash, then jump and kind of keep the momentum. They also fixed an issue that allowed mount jump from stopping to increase speed. I'm not entirely sure what that means. They re-enabled the ability to mass salvage Azoth vials, which you could technically still do beforehand by salvaging the resource category, because it's the only thing in there that you can salvage, but it's not really obvious unless you know, and this should be a much more convenient way to do that. They also fixed an issue that caused the Deckhand's promotion earring to have the weapon functionality of the Jasper's Gem Retaliate instead of the armor effect. So that was a very long-standing issue, and this is especially frustrating for players who didn't keep that item because it's from a questline. You can't get it after you've done it. So this used to actually be used to get an extra empower for your weapons instead of having a Jasper in your weapon. Now you want to have the Jasper in your weapon again. Very good that that was fixed, even though it's not the biggest problem recently. I think it just was frustrating for anyone who didn't have access to it in the first place. They fixed a couple of minor social things, but then one thing here is they changed the world transfer purchase in the store to no longer refer to region transfers, so they're making it very clear that they have absolutely no intention of bringing region transfers back, which is very unfortunate. On top of all of this, a further important note, you should definitely check your in-game video settings if you feel that you're at all lagging after this patch, or have been lagging since today for some reason. New World has once again reset the video settings for many players to very high, and you have to manually lower them if you have any performance issues with the game. If you're interested in more New World updates, consider subscribing and clicking the bell, and if you want to see more Path of Exile 2 updates, then I will link that right here for you to check out as well. That's on my other channel. Thanks to all of my patrons for supporting this video. They get early trading tips in return. And thank you for watching. SLOTH out.